So I was watching a speaker talking about the history of mankind. And in his very long speech, he touched upon the word tithe. And of course he said, I don't know why I said of course, but right. Of course, according to this video that I'm making right now, you know I'm about to say something very, how do you say, controversial. I don't speak Greek, I don't speak Aramaic, I don't speak ancient Hebrew, I don't actually squash that. There is no such thing as ancient Hebrew. I don't speak any sort of the ancient languages. The entire concept of tithe being tied to money is erroneous because the word tithe does not mean money. It doesn't mean agriculture. It doesn't mean any of that. Here's your homework assignment. You are to go and find the original language for the word tithe as it was used in the Old Testament. Now, here's another thing. Anybody who calls himself a Christian is under a new covenant. And if you are a Gentile and a Christian, you are under a double new covenant that says, point blank, you do not adhere to anything in the Old Testament. Now, a lot of your churches bifurcate on this particular thing. You're all Gentiles, you're under a new covenant, but they pick and choose stuff out of the Old Testament, and then they beat you over the head with it. You should tithe to your church. No, you should not tithe to your church. You absolutely should not tithe to your church, because that is all under the Old Covenant. Even the misconception of what the word tithe means, you should not adhere to it at all. Now, try those shoes on for a while. Let's see your pastor, your preacher, your priest squirm under that. So even when you find out that tithe, the word, the ancient word in its true definition, and trust me, it's hard to find the actual real definition of it, is not tied to money at all. Not at all. Whatsoever. But that aside, you're not under Moses' law. And that's part of the Mosaic law. You as a Gentile, double. What do I mean double? Why do I keep saying Gentile? Because the original church was Hebrew. You were a Hebrew Christian. And you were under the Old Covenant still. It's under the Pauline Christian church that went to the Gentiles because they were not making headway amongst the Jews, the Hebrews. I want to say Hebrews. So let's use the word Hebrews because Jews doesn't mean anything whatsoever. You have these white people who have converted to Judaism and they have taken over that faith altogether and they call themselves Jews. They're not Hebrews. They don't have not one drop of Hebraic blood in them. Not even a single block. Well, a drop. The Gentiles openly embraced this new religion called Christianity. However, hold on to your horses. Christians were around in 300 BC. So, your whole idea that Christians are somehow tied to some mythical figure that was around 30 AD, mythical because he never existed. Christianity has been around since 300 BC. Go look it up. But of course, your pastor's not going to tell you that. Your priest is not going to tell you that. I'm the only one who's going to tell you that. And you can go ahead and hate me right now. I don't care. Remember, I made a whole video talking about I don't care. I'm going to tell you the truth, and it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful, and you're going to rant, and you're going to rave. I don't care. Christians have been around since 300 BC. Christians have been around since 300 BC. How do you like that? And the thing that you think is the Roman Catholic Church hasn't been around until around the 12th century, something like that. It doesn't date back to 100 AD. It does not. It's all a lie. Okay, so let's continue on. As a Gentile, They had a complete meeting, what have you, and said, what are we going to do with the Gentiles? Because as a Hebrew, you're a Hebrew from birth, and there are certain things that you must do as a Hebrew from birth, all through your childhood, that you must complete. Now, you have this Christianity going to Gentiles. Gentiles haven't done any of that stuff. So are we going to now go around circumcising full-grown people? No. They said no. And for all of you idiots out there circumcising your babies, your infants, you should really have a stone tied around your neck and you be cast into the deepest ocean. You're stupid as hell. It says right in the Bible, no circumcision, none. And they specifically talk about it. I mean, how stupid can you be? You're not very much of a Christian, are you? And they said, no, these Gentiles cannot be under Moses' law because they can't. We're not going to walk around circumcising full-grown people. What can we do with them? They're under the blood of the new covenant. Nothing in the old covenant applies. Nothing. That's a all-encompassing word. Nothing. You are not a part of the old covenant at all. What does nothing include? Nothing includes tithing. Even your misconception, your miseducation, your lack of you speaking ancient Aramaic, ancient Egypt, ancient Comedian, which would be the actual language, ancient Greek, all of that stuff. Your complete miseducation or lack of education in any of those languages that have you so misconstrued about what the word tithe even means. It doesn't matter because it doesn't apply to you. Your church is literally running a scam on you. I want you to think for a second. I want to put a little bit of spirituality back into your life. What in the hell does God need money for? And first of all, let's think about the term money. The term money, first of all, is false. And I know you've seen these videos and you've seen the cartoons, you've seen that money is all an illusion. It's all fake. It's all fiat to begin with. What in the hell does God need with this concept of money? He doesn't at all. You're idiots for going along with your church telling you that you need to give God money. You don't need to give God. I'd rather that they be on. If I started a church, I've already talked about this. It would be the church of good naps. You come to church and take a nap. I'll play some nice soft relaxing music. Maybe bring in some masseurs and masseuses. Everybody gets a massage as they come in. Eat until you're stupid. Roll you around until you vomit or something. We're going to bring back the ancient Romans that you think are so highly civilized. They would eat until they were bursting. Then they would make themselves vomit, and then they would eat more and repeat that. This is what the Europeans think is so civilized. Oh, they're so civilized. You're a bunch of idiots. Uncivilized to the core. You want to see some civilized? Go to Africa. Those people are civilized. Now I want to put some spirituality back into your religion, into your life. Not your religion. Your religion is hopeless. I want to put some spirituality back into your life. What does God need with money? Answer that question. And no, he does not need money. There is no explanation that you or your pastor, priest, minister can come up with any sort of way that God needs money. And if anybody around you in your religion says that God needs money, they're a demon. How about that? There you go. They're a demon. He can create multiple universes without thinking. What does he need money for? Well, we got to keep the church running. Then that's not God, huh? Your church building, the corporation that runs your religion, they need money. And I would admit that my holy church of napping, of relaxation, would probably run on donations by anybody who walks through the door. You don't have to join my church. You can just show up. I'm not going to baptize you. We'll provide some showers if you want to. I mean, we could serve the homeless too. And by the time you get into the inner sanctum, make sure you're all nice and you smell good and everything, because we know people can't relax around funky people. Trust me, it is not pretty. I've never been served in the field in any sort of army or anything like that, but I've been around some funky people, and trust me, it is very stressful. In the church of relaxation is all about relieving stress, not creating stress. So we provide some showers for any homeless people coming in, and you can wear your flip-flops, house shoes, pajamas, robes. There'll be no sexual stuff going on. You can do that at your own house. You don't need to do that at the Church of Relaxation, because it's all about taking naps, getting a nice massage, listening to some nice music, having some aromatherapy floating in the air, probably, right? If you need be, go to a quiet room all by yourself. Watch football if if you're into that sort of stuff. Hey, keep those donations coming. We got to pay for cable, satellite. I think real satellite. I don't mean dish TV. I mean real satellite. Let's get some real stuff in there. And if you're outside of the United States, you can come into the church and we'll have satellite feed into your private room, and you can watch your Belgian people play soccer or whatever you foreigners are into, or Mexican, or whatever. You got to be legal. No. The Church of Relaxation does not care about your earthly boundaries that you've created. Yeah, I think maybe I should form this church. It sounds better and better. I mean, the more I talk about it, it sounds better, huh? I had everybody on Facebook say, go for it. But I've done a whole series of little scripts talking about putting spirituality back into your life, because the religions of this world have completely sapped any sort of spirituality out of the religion and all of the members of that particular religion. Why in the hell would you go along with beating up women, having sex with little boys and little girls, or for that matter, slavery, right? And that includes white people. I don't know if white people are aware of this, but you all are enslaved right now. Slavery did not die. Yes, there are still African slaves too. And I think there's actually physically a larger number of slaves today than at the height of the transatlantic slave trade. We think we've come so far and we're so civilized, and yet this planet is rife with evil and stupidity. Let's put a little bit more spirituality back in. Let's start pondering stuff in a sort of real way. Does God really need to be worshipped on Sunday? Wait, who determined that Sunday is Sunday? Maybe you got it all wrong. And Wednesday is actually Sunday. And all of y'all are going to hell. Even the Seventh-day Adventists. All of you. Just going straight to hell. You heard it here first. You got it wrong. You got it all wrong. You're worshiping on this wrong day. And you're not supposed to be worshiping on that day anyway. You're supposed to be taking a nap. Huh? You see? My church is better than all of your churches. Because what are you supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be resting, relaxing. Huh? You come to my church, you do what? Rest and relax. The Church of the Holy Nap? I need to come up with a good religious... The Sacred Nap Church. I don't know. The Sacred Relaxation Church. The Sacred Spiritual Nap Time Church. Maybe we'll get whoever makes those nice fluffy white robes that you get in the fancy hotels to sponsor us, and so everybody who walks through the door gets a nice fluffy white robe after they've showered. You have to go through a smell test. So go shower first. Go through our shower, or go through our Roman baths, or Greek baths, or Egyptian. Really, it was an Egyptian thing. By the way, Europeans were the funkiest of humans ever. It wasn't until the Africans, and I mean all the Africans. I mean the Africans bathed. taught the Romans and the Greeks how to. No, it never taught the Greeks. I don't think did the Greeks have baths. They just had orgies. You know, the Greeks were kicked out of Africa for 10,000 years, which kind of destroys that whole notion that the pyramids were only 4,000 years old or something like that. Because the pyramids were there. Why else would the Greeks want to come in there? They were kicked out of Africa in its entirety for 10,000 years because of their rampant homosexuality. Rampant. I mean, just rampant. Everybody. It was their social norm. So anybody said that you were born that way, you're kind of crazy. So you can't have an entire population of people be homosexual. You just can't. And not be born that way. No, it's a learned behavior. You might have come to it at an early age, but that doesn't mean you were born that way. But then again, I already told you in a different video that they could not discover a straight gene either. So, if they can't discover a straight gene, obviously they can't discover a gay gene. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the endocrinologists. Cannot discover a straight gene. I think it's natural to be straight, right? Heterosexual. Natural. And by natural, I mean normal. As in, I have an outie, she has an innie. Apparently these two go together. Because when they do, we produce a child. And I'm not trying to make you mad. Because remember, I don't care, right? Let's keep it 100, right? I don't care. And I'm not trying to go out of my way to hurt your feelings. I'm just talking. We're just talking, right? We're just having a conversation, you and I. Me and about, 1,000 of you. I'm sure this video won't even make 1,000. But let's put a bit of spirituality back in. You're worshiping on the wrong day. And you're worshiping wrong. You're not supposed to get all dressed up and be all stressed out. Like my grandmother would cook all day Saturday to eat on Sunday. So on Sunday, she wouldn't have to cook because that was the day of rest. But then she's all stressed out and everybody has to have their stockings. And oh no, there's a run in the stockings. You got to go to the store to get some new stockings. And then, then you got to get dressed up and then you got to polish all the kids because they have snot dripping down their nose. And then you have to, and then the largest, oldest kid apparently grew an inch overnight. Who knew that? So over the course of a week, what fit last week does no longer fits. So now you have to scramble to try and make the oldest kid something to wear to church, and he has to be wearing a coat and tie to church, and then you all have to pack into the car. And oh no, but today you can't all pack into the car. You have to take 2 and 3 cars because every child under the age of 7 has to have a car seat. Okay, so we got enough car seats for all the youngins. Okay, now 2 and 3 cars are going to, and then there's wrecks on the way and the building on fire. Okay, now we're all stressed out over that. Now we made it to the church, and now we have to pretend to like people that we don't even like or don't even know. We see them all the time. We don't even know their name, but we call them sister and brother and all that sort of stuff. And this guy is cheating on his wife, and the pastor is having sex with the secretary, and all the deacons are all banging each other too, and then all the mothers of the church are doing all sorts of hookerish stuff, and there's absolutely no spirituality in this church whatsoever. Nobody actually ponders how God feels about anything that's going on in that church. And then for after 3 hours, and they're giving away money, and the tithe offering, and the new wing offering, and the missionary offering, which they don't go on any missions, but we take in a missionary offering, and then we all pack back into the cars, and we go home, and then a mother who already sort of prepared lunch now has to reheat lunch, which takes just as long as if she were cooking it in the first place, which I don't understand. And then everybody's annoyed that the men are watching football, and then the people from the church drop by unannounced because that's what they do. But luckily, Mom already prepared a whole bunch of stuff just in case people showed up, because that's what people do. And so now she's working even harder to put down her lunch, and then you said this hour-long prayer for lunch, and then you eat it all up, and then now you have to go and wash all of these thousands of dishes and forks and knives and spoons and stuff, and the kid pooped in the middle of the living room, and the dog bit the guest, and now you're about to get sued, and this is all going on Sunday, the day of rest. Did God say observe the day of rest? No, let's think about that first of all. That was also in the Old Testament, under the Old Covenant. You're not supposed to observe the Old Covenant. You're under the New Covenant, right? I'm being sarcastic if you're not understanding. This entire thing is heavy, at least 90 milligrams or milliliters of sarcasm and 10 milliliters of reality. Of course, the reality trumps the sarcasm, but all of this is said in sarcasm. I don't care if you're homosexual. I don't understand why you would try and worship a religion that clearly says you're an abomination. And the evidence of homosexuality in the land is evidence of the end times, the end of days. How does that make you feel? What do you think about that? That's a heavy load, isn't it? I used to play this game called Vampire, and one of the prophecies in the game, or the lore of the game, was that when you see vampires who are human-like, who are such weak vampires that they can still walk around during the day, it heralds the end of days. So let me ask you, people who are homosexual and Christian, for whatever reason that is, I don't know, I don't get it. There is no one true God, by the way. There's 20,000 religions in the world. Odds are that you picked the wrong religion. Odds are you picked the wrong religion, right? If you believe that there is a right religion. Now, how does it make you feel to be homosexual and a Christian, and you are in the Bible as a herald of the end of all humanity, and you, like a dummy, worship that religion? I don't get it. This is my sarcasm with my dose of reality. I don't get it. Answer me that question. It's just like black people being Christians. I don't get that at all either. Holy cow. You were beaten, tarred, feathered, dismembered. Do you know what dismembered means? That means that your members were cut off from your body. That's your feet, your calves, your legs, your fingers, your hands, elbows, arms, pieces, parts in between your legs, breasts, ears, nose, to get you to worship Christianity. To get you to worship Christianity. You're an idiot. Now that you have a choice, now that you are free, you're an idiot. And don't give me this, my church is black. Oh, they had black churches back then. You know why? Because the white people said, you need to worship Christian God, but you can't do it in this white church. You need to go form your own little black church. And by the way, here is a good Negro who's going to be your pastor. And he's going to say everything that we tell him to say, and nothing more and nothing less. You're an idiot. Idiot, complete idiot. But I'm just talking. We're just having a conversation here. I'm trying to put some spirituality back in. When I say God, I mean the God that, I believe. But I believe God is way over there, right? He's still making galaxies. He's a busy guy. He's got stuff to do. He doesn't care if you win the football game. He doesn't care if your little girl goes to the ballet recital. He doesn't care if you win the rap battle. Does not care. He's kind of like me. Does not care. He also doesn't care if you die. Also doesn't care if you live. Who are you again? I had nothing to do with it. I set this all in motion a few quadrillion years ago. In your counting. Anything beyond a few quadrillion years ago, you won't even understand. Because spirituality is so deep that you don't understand concepts that are outside of time. But we're just talking. I'm trying to put a little bit more spirituality into your world. Go ask your pastor why, if you're under the blood of the new covenant, and it specifically says that nothing in the Old Covenant applies to you, and specifically as a Gentile, it doubly doesn't apply to you. Point blank, came out right out and said it. Why in the hell are you still tithing? You know why? Because the royals wanted you to tithe. The landowners wanted you to tithe. The plantation owners wanted you to tithe. The merchants wanted you to tithe. King James wanted you to tithe. That's why you're tithing. Has absolutely nothing to do with your religion. And in fact, I'm willing to bet quite a bit tithe wasn't in the Bible at all. Doesn't make sense. Why would you give 10% to who? To God? I'm sorry. Exactly who mails that to God? Somebody got a mailing address for God? So when you give your fake money, what address do they send that? Is it a self-addressed stamped envelope to God? That doesn't make sense. Let's talk about spirituality. God, the Spirit, who is still forming the universe in the center of the universe, you're mailing that to him? How are you getting that there? We can't even make it to the next star. Why? Because the elites don't want us to get off the planet because they're so happy about their life of being rich that they don't want anybody to get off this planet. Pretty sure that if we were able to move off this planet, the population will probably be about 10,000 people, maybe. You don't believe that? I want you to think about that. That'll be our next video. If we could get off of this planet, how many people do you think would be left on the planet? Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.